right. I think we on. We live. What's happening? I told y'all I was gonna take a break and I was gonna come back being better, bigger, and better than ever. Welcome to Moment with Moschetti. I got sound effects. I don't even know how to use the sound effects, but let me bring myself in before I get depression sound effects. Welcome to Moments with Moschetti. Let's do it. I am your hostesses with the mostesses, your mental and spiritual health guide, your auntie, sister, cousin, best friend who always coming with the realness, Moschetti herself. Hold on. This one for my mama. Welcome. I'm so excited to be here. I am down at the Sherman Phoenix in the Tone Deaf Network studio, recording live. Yes, recording live. And I'm really excited about being here. Y'all know I took some time off of doing Moment with Moschetti. And like I said on my last post, that I'm coming back bigger and better. So excuse me if I'm looking all over the place because I got cameras here, cameras there. We on Facebook Live as always. We on YouTube. I'm live streaming right in front of me on TikTok. Gang. What's up, TikTok? And I'm just really excited about being back in the space, man. I missed y'all, man. So yeah. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to be back doing Moment with Moschetti. I had to take some time off to, take care of myself a little bit, get my mental health in order because I tell y'all on a regular basis, if I ain't right, I'm not ready to give y'all what y'all need. And so I wanted to make sure that I had myself together, that I was centered, that I was grounded so that I can give y'all the goodness, the word, the mission, the guidance for today. So welcome. I thank you all for joining me. I thank you all for coming back. I got my mom in the building who is my number one fan. So I knew she was going to be on here first and foremost. So I appreciate you and I appreciate everybody else. I got my TikTok family on here. I got like 3 viewers on here. Let's go. So let's get into the church announcements because Tasha was cracking. Okay, so let me go ahead and just have all my family. If you are watching live, go ahead and say hello. If you've seen me do Moment with Moschetti before, give me a heart or give me the prayer hands and let me know you've been blessed by this podcast before, by this broadcast before. And if you're brand new, just hit me with a smiley face or a wave and let me know that you're brand new, that this is your first time interacting with Moschetti in this moment. So we're going to get into it. We're going to get into this. The subject for today is growth versus healing. And I'm anticipating this one being a 2-parter because it's a lot going on. I told you I've been off for a while. And so I got a lot that I've been cooking and thinking about. And y'all know how it is when I get excited about these moments with Moschetti, they be good. And I went to church today. I go to church every Sunday, but I went to church today. I get an extra word in me. I get real revved up. I get real excited. So before we go into all of that, let's get the church announcements out of the way. Hold on. Do I got let me see. Do I got a sound effect for that? Let's get the church announcements out the way. That was a bomb. Did you hear it? That was a bomb. It wasn't very loud. Did you hear it? Okay. Let's see who I got over here. Below all said yo over here on TikTok. My mom is in the building. My cousin, my family is in the building. And I appreciate y'all. So let's get into these church announcements and then we will get into the subject. So coming straight from the Central Church of Christ, y'all know we have the Midwest Youth Conference coming up June 22nd through the 25th. So, we were going to take our kids out of town this year. Where we going? Bowling Springs, Ohio. I don't think I've ever been to Ohio before, but we'll be taking all of our young people. I think we got about 20 or so that are going from our congregation. We taking a bus, 3 congregations deep, Central, Hampton, Brentwood, being one big family, traveling on out of town. So if you have young people between the ages of 12 and 18 that are going, please make sure you support them. It is not too late to support our young people because we traveling. So they need money in their pocket. They need sheets for these beds because we are staying on a college campus this time instead of in a hotel. So if you want to make any donations, you can Cash App over onto the Central Church of Christ. I believe it's Central COC. Youth conference were a vibe. Gary, that's my cousin. Yes, youth conferences were absolutely a vibe. Coming up, I went to them pretty much every year, and it was always a great opportunity to fellowship with other young people who of Christ, and learn about the goodness of God, and also just kick it with some people, get to know who else is in the brotherhood. And from those experiences, I have developed relationships over time. This year, I'll actually be granted the opportunity to speak to our young people, our young ladies, middle school age young ladies, about trauma. So I'm really excited about going to the conference this year. It is absolutely a spiritual retreat. But on top of that, which I really appreciate coming from our younger leadership, is the emphasis on mental health care. So that's really why I'm here. One of my missions is to help fuse together mental and spiritual wellness so that we can fight the good fight on both fronts, and attack our demons and make sure that they are not keeping us from our full potential and what God has for us to do here on earth. So if you got kids going to the youth conference, or if you don't have any young people going to youth conference and you would like to support them, please let me know. Don't cash at me, because you cash at me, that's my money. No, I'm gonna send it on over to youth. But I prefer if you want to help donate, you can send a cash app to Central COC. Tasha, you on here, you can drop the cash tag for the church. Just make a note in the comments that you are sending it to the youth department, and our secretary Monica does a great job in making sure that we get every penny, every dime that comes that way from there. On top of that, come August, we'll be having Vacation Bible School, August 9th through 11th. And on August 12th, we will be doing our annual community cookout, which we will be doing a backpack giveaway for. Yours truly is working on organizing that. Praise God. We're going to get it through. We're going to make it happen. So if you actually would like to donate and send anything towards that endeavor, you can send it to the same Cash App. Tasha, I know you in here. Drop that, please. and just make a note that that's what you want to send it towards, and we'll make sure that anything that you send gets sent exactly where it is, because we are a church that believes in serving our members. We're also a church that believes in serving the community with all of our love. So on to our other church announcements. Y'all know I sing with the illustrious Anthony McGahee in Praise Motivated. My mama is gonna be mad at me that they done gave me a real air horn. She gonna be mad at me that they gave me a real air horn to play with. Come on, one more time. But anywho, so coming up, AMPM will be at the Black Arts Festival on August 5th. Yes. Formerly known as Afrofest, or more popularly known as Afrofest. We're gonna be in there. We're gonna be there in the building. So if you haven't seen AMPM, look, now is your opportunity. We be getting it. We be jamming, singing and dancing. So come through. And then this Saturday, we're supposed to be at Richard Maslowski Community Park. I'm not even really sure what that event is, but I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna be singing loud. And I'll be up front. Thank you. And all of that. So with that being said, I think those are all of the church announcements for this week. I really, like I said one more time, I really appreciate the Tone Deaf Network for having me in their space. If y'all saw my intro when I came on, like TikTok, I know you didn't see the intro when I came on, but it was dope. I'm going to make sure that I flip it around so that y'all can see it next time, because look, I ain't never looked so good. Y'all see, look, I ain't never looked so good. Okay. I couldn't do this on my own in my bedroom. I'm gonna have to move the camera up though, so I don't be looking like I'm looking to the heaven. Well, looking to the hills from which comes my help, but that might be where I'm looking. So, anyways, let's get into it though. Let's do what we came here to do and have a little conversation about our mental health and our spiritual health and how we can bring that together. A better me for a better we. I'm all about building villages, and the only way we're going to build happy and healthy villages is to work on ourselves and be the dynamic village leaders that we know that we can be, to help usher those in who are still hurting, still lost, and still working into a higher plane, because we all still hurt, still lost, and still working and trying to make our way. But when you learn something and you got a little piece of something to share with people, you can lead them into a better space. My sister said my mental health is through the roof. Girl, look, my sister just moved out of town. I know that's got to be stressful. I'm working on, look, I'll give y'all my announcements. I'll give y'all my announcements when everything is fully in fruition. Just know that things are always moving and shaking over here with Mo Sketty. So, anyways, so the subject for today is healing versus growth. Now, I'm already knowing that healing versus growth is going to be a two-parter, because once I sat down and got to going with these notes and stuff and got to thinking about it, it got a little heavy. Because I think, first and foremost, a lot of us don't really know that there is a difference between going through a healing journey and a growth journey. And I think we get ourselves tied up trying to go into higher planes within ourselves by conflating the two. But really, it is important to know whether you are in a state of progress in your life in which you are healing or which you are growing. And of course, we have plateaus in between in which we are stagnant, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, or because sometimes when we are plateauing, we're just enjoying our lives. And sometimes we're plateauing because it's time to do some work. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about healing versus growth. So for today's lesson, we're going to emphasize a little bit more on the healing side. We're going to talk a little bit more about what it means to heal and the importance of healing. So first and foremost, y'all know, if you've ever been with Mo Sketty before, you know I love a good definition. And the reason why I love a good definition is to make sure that we are on the same page with whatever it is that we're talking about for today. So, number one, we're going to talk about growth. The definition of growth is to become larger or greater over time. To grow is to become larger or greater over time. Now, to heal, the definition of heal is to become sound or healthy again. To become sound or healthy again. So, when we're moving through life, when we're trying to progress, when we are unhappy with what we have going on and we're unhappy with who we are and where we are in life, those are the times when we go on a healing or a growth journey. But sometimes we try to grow in spaces in which we should be healing first. So why should we heal before we grow? Well, the main reason why we should heal before we grow is because the things that have damaged us, the things that have broken us, the things that have gotten in our way and changed the person that we are, that are detrimental to us, the things that are broken in us need to get fixed so that they do not become a hazard along our walk, so that we don't get in our own way as we are trying to go along our journey. Because trust and believe, as you're trying to grow, as you're trying to be a better and bigger and better person, if there are things in your atmosphere that you have not cleaned up, they will resurface and they can rear their ugly head at the most inconvenient of times. So if you got an anger problem and you ain't healed from whoever made you mad 3 years ago, that's going to come up whenever you see somebody that look like that person. Okay, our triggers are born out of those circumstances that happened to us, that we engaged in, that we may or may not have been able to control. But they left some sort of residue in our life. Now, that residue is what we need to clean up in order for us to grow in that area. And if you don't clean it up, you will choke your own progress out before you even get a good chance to get down the road. And so it is very important that we heal before we grow, because you have to make room. You got to make room for all of the expansion, all of the growth, all of the beautiful and wonderful things that you're trying to bring into your life, that you're trying to attract, that you're trying to bloom. You got to make space for it. And there is no space for all of that stuff if you're sitting in toxicity, if you're sitting in pain, if you're sitting in regret, if you're sitting in malice, if you're sitting in your triggers. There's no space for beauty and growth. You can grow around it. You can grow in other areas. But in whatever area that you are still unhealed in, whatever area that you're still hurting in and you're not working on that, you're going to choke yourself out. So one of the things that I have been doing on my hiatus is I have gotten into gardening Okay, I have gotten into gardening. It has been wonderful. And let me tell you, look, now I understand why Jesus had all of them parables about farmers and stuff all the time, because there is a word in the soil. Okay, there is a word in the soil. There's a word in the soil. So, as I have been gardening, well, we got garden beds in my yard, and in order for me to plant anything, the first thing I had to do was get out and pull up all the weeds that were in the garden. Weeding your personal emotional garden is your healing process. Okay, you got to get down there and you got to get dirty. And yeah, it might get ugly. And no, you might not like it. But if you intend to grow anything in that space, it must be clear from everything that might choke it out. First of all, there's no room. If you would have seen the condition of the flower beds when I first got down there, first and foremost, there's no room for growth with all of that garbage in there. There was no room for growth. When I say one of the flower beds thick, carpeted with weeds, there literally is nowhere to plant because there's so much stuff there that is, I don't want to say unusable, because I'm able to, we can compost some of them weeds, but there's so much stuff there that is counterproductive to the things that you're actually trying to grow, that it simply needed to be moved out the way. Okay, so that is when we get down to our bad habits, our ugly routines, our dislike for doing things. That's all the stuff that's got to get out the way. Our complaints, that's got to get out the way. Our excuses, that's got to get out of the way in order for us to even be able to start to plant. So when I got down in the weeds and I got down there and I started pulling everything out, if you know anything about weeding a garden, if you know anything about pulling up weeds, you got to get to the bottom. You got to grab it out by the root. That's one thing that my papa taught me when he was alive. He had me 5 years old pulling weeds out from between the bricks in the patio, because he didn't want them there, because that's not what we were cultivating in that space. And he taught me, he said, you got to grab it at the bottom and you got to pull it out and get the root of it out. Why do we have to get the root of it out? Because if you don't get the root of it out, it's going to grow back. Now, sometimes when we are going through our growth and our healing journey, we think we've cleared things out of the way because we've addressed them lightly. We've taken a look at it. Maybe we've gone to 1 or 2 therapy sessions and started talking about it, but we haven't really gotten to the root of the issue. Yeah, you went and had a conversation with that person who you don't like, or you talked to, you prayed about it real quick one good time, but you didn't really get to the root of the issue. You did a surface level chop. And when you do a surface level chop of a weed, it will come back. It's going to come back maybe bigger, and it's going to come back in the exact same spot. You have not cleared that space for you to be able to grow in that space. So when we get down there and pulling the weeds out, I noticed that some of the weeds, they looked small. I grabbed on it and it came right on out. The whole root came right on out. And that is the truth for some of our issues. Sometimes it doesn't take a whole lot of work in order for you to clear the spiritual debris out of your life, and for you to clear the emotional debris out of your life. You just simply have to face the issue that's at hand, and it will clear itself once you start to address it. Sometimes it is just that easy. Sometimes it is just that easy to go to your brother and sister and ask for an apology or issue one, and that will clear that space so that you can grow in that area. Sometimes it is easy enough to just go to your boss and ask for an accommodation, and that'll clear that space for you to be able to work a little bit easier. Sometimes it is just that easy to ask your partner or ask your family to help you out around the house, and then they'll do it. But because you never really addressed it, you sat around suffering for no real reason, letting a weed grow. Sometimes it is that easy. And sometimes it looks a little bit more intimidating than what it actually is. I noticed that I pulled out some of it was a couple of really big weeds, and I was like, oh man, I'm probably finna grab the shovel and have to like really, really dig in there. But once I grabbed it, the root was way more shallow than I expected. So that's some of the intimidating conversations, those big phone calls that you feel like you have to make, that seem so daunting. But once you actually get to it, The root's not that deep. I had somebody on here that said, I healed. When you heal from within, that is the forgiveness of all the trauma at once, not item by item. Well, I mean, and it takes a process though to heal from within. And sometimes it is item by item, but as you'll see from my next example, I got down there and I started pulling out roots. And some of the things I thought were just a small little weed that I was going to be able to get out real easy. But I learned that when I got down in the dirt, that little weed was connected to a big weed over here, connected to another small weed over there, connected to another large weed over here. And I had to do a lot of digging, a lot of work, a lot of pulling to get that out, because what seemed like it was just a small problem actually was interconnected in with a whole lot of other issues that was going on under the surface. And that's when healing gets complicated. For those of you who are new to watching me, I'm a therapist by profession. And I get people that come in to session a lot of times and they think that they're here to deal with one thing, but they end up realizing that the issue that they thought that they had, that they could settle with one or two or three sessions, was interconnected in with childhood trauma, was interconnected in with generational trauma, was interconnected in with community trauma. Yes, Tasha, webs of trauma. And when things are webbed together, when they're brought together, when they're spread out that far, 9 times out of 10 is because whatever happened was allowed to fester and grow that deep to where it started to come up and manifest itself in different areas of life. But again, in order for us to be able to grow in that space, no matter how hard it is, no matter how deep it is, and no matter how interconnected it is, we have to deal with those issues. We have to address those traumas. Otherwise, and we have to get down to the root of it, not just a shallow thing, but you have to get to the root about it. And that is what is meant there by the comment of when you heal from within. That's the forgiveness of all that trauma at once, not item by item. Yes, when you actually get to the root of that trauma that is connected to all of those other things, when you get to the main part of that, the rest of it can burn off because it no longer has that source that's been keeping it fed. Whatever you got going on in your own personal, emotional garden that is unhealed, whatever traumas that you have that are unaddressed, that are undealt with, that's what you're growing right now. That's what you're growing right now. If you try to grow anything else in that space, you might choke it out. But that's what whatever's in your emotional garden, that's what you're growing right now. So you have the option of growing something that is going to be fruitful, growing something that is going to be beneficial, or perpetually tending to weeds. I know some people like that. I know some people that have been hurt and are determined to spend the rest of their life never dealing with anything that looks like that issue ever again. They have decided that weed is going to stay there in that garden. And they're going to try to grow around it. And they may grow fantastic, beautiful things around it, but that space will never be fertile for them until they realize that it's essential to not only just deal with the ugliness at the top, but dig deep and pull it out, yank it out, eradicate it from the root. Another thing that I noticed in the garden that was next to one of the plots is that we have some mint that is growing in one of our flower beds. Somebody planted some mint in one of our flower beds. And I don't know if y'all know anything about growing mint, but mint is considered an invasive plant. And they tell you not to grow it in the ground because it grows everywhere. It is growing so profusely that it is coming out of that flower bed. Like it's growing around the box. Some stuff we get into can be so detrimental and so invasive that we don't even have any business dealing with it in the first place, because it will get into your life and it will spread, and it will take years of toil to get it uprooted. That doesn't mean it's impossible. Really means you shouldn't have dealt with it in the first place. Well, we're not talking about shoulda, coulda, wouldas. We're talking about healing from what already has been. And when you have something that is invasive like that, that is permeating every area of your life, it's even more important that you get at it from the root so that you can make that ground fertile again. So that you don't have to make accommodations around your triggers, that you don't have to make accommodations around your trauma. Mom says, so with the things that I have begun and are working on, am I now healing or growing? Speak freely. Okay. Mom, you in particular, honestly, it depends. It's item by item from which things you are healing and which things you are growing. Because healing is really dealing with, and here's how you can distinguish between the two. Healing is dealing with the things that have already transpired. Healing is helping you clear out the way of all of the damage that might have been done, the things that are broken, the things that are not orderly. The growth process is once we have gotten things cleared up enough to where we can make advancements forward in our lives. That's what the growth is about. The growth is the advancement forward in our lives. The healing is the clearing the things that happened in the past to make the ground fertile for how you want to grow forward. And once you learn how to make the ground fertile, that doesn't mean that you'll never have to heal in those areas ever again. Because sometimes new weeds pop up, and maybe they had nothing to do with the other weeds that were there. But it's new. But if you've been tilling your garden, if you've been taking care of things in the way that you should take care of things, then you should be able to spot it early on, go ahead and pluck it out before it gets a chance to really fester deeply. So yeah, healing is all about taking care of those things that have happened in the past. Healing is all about clearing up all of the emotional sludge that is keeping you from moving forward so that you can grow. And sometimes it's not even about your personal growth. Sometimes it's the growth of the people around you. I see my son is on here. Hey, Chunko. We had a really interesting experience gardening together. We stopped at a neighborhood garden to help a person out, and I found myself weeding. I was weeding an area because the lady said, "Oh yeah, these are creeper crawlers. They're gonna choke out these plants." And right behind me, I looked over, and my son was planting in the areas that I had just got done weeding. That's what we're talking about when we mean break generational curses. That's why we talk about doing stuff like gentle parenting, so we can clean out some of the abusive behaviors, some of the negative traits, some of the unsavory things that have developed in our lives, so that we can set a more positive foundation for the people who are coming behind us. Our children, not just our children, like our own biological children, but our children as a society as a whole. There are people out here who walk around wanting payback from the things that happened to them. They want to be a teacher so they can tell other kids what to do. They want to be a police officer so that they can yield a gun and they can be the big bad one. Those people are unhealed and they're choking out society. But there are other people who realize that things were done to them in an unsavory way, that it shouldn't have been the way that it was, that they don't want it to be that way for somebody else. And so they do the work to remove that damage from around their heart so they do not perpetuate it on to the next generation or the next person behind them. Because guess what happens when you don't clear that sludge out? You repeat it, you pass it on. You repeat it, you pass it on. You repeat it, you pass it on. And sometimes we don't even know why we're repeating things and passing it on. We're just repeating and passing it on because that's how it was done to us. Well, when you look around and realize that the things that were done to you are detrimental, it is your job to heal it. Why? So the next generation doesn't have to deal with it. Why? So that they can grow from it. Healing clears the debris. Healing makes the ground fertile for growth. Healing allows for there to be space. And no, it's not always fair that you got to be the one to do all of this healing. You got to be the one to get on your hands and knees and get dirty and get to the root of things. No, it is not always fair. But if you want to grow anything for yourself, if you want to grow anything for the next generation that's coming behind you, it is essential. Favor ain't fair. That's what we mean when we say favor ain't fair. You've been selected. If you're watching this live, if you're watching me either live or on a playback, you have been selected to heal yourself, to heal your family, to heal your community. Congratulations. Favor ain't fair. You've been picked. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. So it is your responsibility to get to it. Yeah, you know you don't want to do it. Will you get it all? Maybe you will get it all. Maybe you won't. But whatever you leave is left there to grow for whoever else is coming behind you. So you pick. You pick. You want to do it? You want to leave it for your babies? You want to teach your babies how to fix it? Because maybe you can't fix it. Maybe you don't have all the tools, but maybe you can gather a couple of tools so they can get started. Or you're going to leave them empty-handed to figure it out themselves. That's how we got in the position that we in right now. Because let me tell you this. For those of us who are not into, those who are not into gardening, maybe you're into sports a little bit. I'm not into sports, but I know this part. I know that a torn ACL used to be a career-ending injury. And I know it's not now. Why? Because enough people got a torn ACL, was unable to play, and the doctors figured out how to fix that more efficiently. So now you just got to sit out some time, get it better, heal it, and you can get back to playing. What did that take? That took generations. They took years and years and years of people not being able to recover from that. And somebody finally coming up with the methods to get you back together so that you can get back out there and be just as good, if not better than before. It used to be a game ender. Back in the day, having a baby by yourself unwed used to be a game ender. Guess what? Moschetti got one of them. He just graduated from high school. I got a master's degree in clinical psychology. What you mean? We growing around these places. This ain't no game ender. Why? Because we cleared that debris. We dealt with them issues. We grown on top of it. Period. But you got to be up for the challenge. I'm sorry, TikTok. I haven't been looking at y'all very much. I appreciate y'all being over here. We talking about growth and healing. I'm staring directly to this camera in front of me. But I appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate y'all being here. Because I find it very, it's dire. Okay? It is dire that we clear out some of this generational trauma, that we clear out some of this debris, that we don't let the things that have held us back continue to hold us back in the future. And if you don't take responsibility for that, you just pass the buck on to the next generation. If you don't give them any tools to overcome it, you just pass the buck off onto maybe your grandkids, maybe your great grandkids. Maybe you don't have kids, but it goes to your neighbor. You ever had a kind neighbor in the neighborhood to help you out? The candy lady down the block that you know you ain't have 50 cents for the candy, but she hooked you up anyways. Somebody that gave you some clothes. Yeah, those are the community members that know that it's important to pour in. That know that it's important to pour in, regardless of whether or not you're their children or not. Every child is our child. Every child is our child. Every child is our child. And either we set them up for success or we leave them a garden bed full of weeds to get through. So yeah, these Kia boys and Kia girls, they are our responsibility. They are the fruits of our labor. Cause that's what we growing. We growing fruit. And yeah, you can eat dandelions. We classify that as a weed. You can eat that. Or I can grow something way bigger and more substantial than that. No diss to the dandelions. Shout out to Trickle Bee Cafe and Vegan Soul, cause Mama Z over there fried up some dandelions a couple weeks ago for Soul Food Friday, and it was bussin'. But she also made stuffed bell peppers, and them can't grow when you got one big old dandelion in the way. Who you trying to feed? I'm trying to feed everybody. Look, if you're trying to grow and the things that you're trying to cultivate keep getting snapped off before they're really able to flourish, you might have some spaces in which you are unhealed that need a little bit of clearing out, that need some attention, that need you to get to the root of it in order for you to have fertile ground. And maybe you'll see the fruits of your labor, or maybe it won't happen for generations down the line. But I can promise you that if you put in the work to fight the good fight, that somebody, it will not go in vain. Somebody will benefit from that. You know, you might not even get a chance to meet who, but somebody will benefit from that. I tell people all the time, we are not in, a post-racial society like people would like to believe. But I can tell you this. Dr. King will be super satisfied by the fact that we be finding these people, these racist people on the internet and getting them fired from their jobs from being racist. Because that has become not okay in society. You can't just do that to me. You can't just treat me any old kind of way and expect to get away from it, away with it. There are women who marched who will be real happy about the fact that I can be on this broadcast right now. Ain't nobody finna come in here and shut me down unless the internet decides to. But I can be. I can get my own bank account. I can have my own job. I can feed my family. I can take care. And when I say feed my family, I don't mean just my kid. I mean my family, older and younger. I can do that. I can be that if I want to. Yeah, some people might not like the idea of that modern woman stuff, but whatever, I can if I need to. Because there was somebody along the way that said, this is not okay. Let's clean this up. And maybe they did see the fruits of their labor, and maybe they didn't. But I'm growing. I'm here. I'm doing it. And you can too. You absolutely can too. But we got to clear the debris out the way. We got to clear the debris out the way. And if you are here under the sound of my voice, if you are looking at my face, it is your job to lead your village, to clear out all of the detrimental things that are holding you back. Even the things that you think ain't holding you back, but you know it's holding you back. Let's get real. Let's face it. So that you can grow. So that your generations can grow. So that our society can grow. So our villages can grow. Because if we got hatred, animosity, toxicity, trauma, how can we build beautifully? How can we collaborate when we are sowing seeds of mistrust and we refuse to pull them out by the root? How can we get along when we don't actually care about the hearts of each other? How can we expand when we are trying to pull each other down? Crabs in a barrel. No. If we clear out some of this mess, there's enough space for everybody to get everything. All right, y'all. I told you I was your auntie, cousin, sister, best friend that's always coming with the real, and I meant it. And I missed y'all, and I'm real glad to be back. And I appreciate each and every person who has come on this live for a hot second, who stayed the entire, I've been on here for 40 minutes talking. I appreciate each and every one of you. I absolutely do. TikTok family too. Because we need to heal so that we can grow, so that we can expand, so that we can be the full glory that we were meant to be. And we cannot allow ourselves to stand in our own way for refusal, for fear of the hard work, for fear of what life would look like without our trauma. Because let me tell you, some people out here who refuse to address their trauma because they don't know what that's going to look like on the other side of that. It looks like liberation is what it looks like. It looks like peace and joy is what it looks like. When you're too busy thriving in chaos, or you're not thriving in chaos, when you're too busy living in chaos, you don't know what peace and joy look. Boring. But let me tell you, being able to take a deep breath without nobody in the way is serenity. Knowing that you don't have to keep your head on a swivel at all times is peace. Knowing ain't nobody gonna fight with you or argue with you because it's all love in your home is joy. And you deserve that. Everybody in your circle deserves that. Everybody in your village deserves that. So I hope you get it. But it ain't easy. I had somebody ask what the topic was. The topic for today is healing versus growth. Well, we spent most of our time on healing. I'm actually about to sign off, but I do appreciate you coming on at the end here. I will leave these lives up available. I'm actually streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you want to find me in either places, hit up Moschetti on both places. You can also follow me on TikTok if you want to. On my TikTok, I got a lot more. I got a lot more of my randoms where you get to know like what I've been doing in the gym. I've changed how I've eaten, so like you can go on this. You can go on this vegetarian, vegan, or what meat-free journey that I'm on right now because I'm trying to heal some things in my body and in my mind through my nutrition. You can follow me everywhere. I'm Moschetti all over the internet. I ain't got no Twitter no more because they took it. I didn't even do nothing. Elon just don't like me. I wasn't even on there. I just went to log on one day and it was gone. But anyways, maybe I'll open it back up, but maybe not because I don't even be on there no way. Anywho, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off because I think I've said all that I needed to say. Drop a bomb on it. One time for my mom. But yeah, I really do appreciate you guys spending a moment with me. I appreciate the Tone Deaf Network for having me in their space, for doing my fantastic intro, and Tone for being just an overall real cool dude, a real vibe. I appreciate the love. I appreciate being welcomed into this space. And there's a whole lot of podcasts that have come through this space, and Moschetti is ready to be another one. So get ready for me because I got a whole lot more heat that I'm going to bring. And I was real nervous coming in today. I got made fun of for being nervous when I came in today. But guess what? I'm good. I'm good. But I appreciate y'all spending some time with me. If you want to give me a little bit of financial appreciation for the time that I've spent here today, you can go ahead and hit my hashtag $Moschetti. Buy me a coffee, buy me a car, whatever's in your wallet, whatever's on your heart, whatever's going to help me pay for this studio space. Amen. In Jesus' name. But really, I do this from the heart. I do this because I really believe in myself. I really believe in my people. I really believe in our ability to heal. I believe in our ability to grow. I believe in our ability to be greater than every other generation that came before. And I believe in the ability for the generations that are coming after us to be even greater than us. It's not about being selfish. It's about raising our children, everybody's children, to not have to suffer, to not have to deal with the things that are preventable, to have the skills passed down to them that were already learned. because we're doing our babies a disservice by not healing, and we're doing them a greater disservice by healing and then acting like we ain't never been broke. I love you all, and I appreciate you for spending time with me. I don't know how to turn this off.